There is a quiet violence we commit against ourselves each day, not with weapons, not with reckless decisions, but with resistance, with refusal, with the desperate tightening of our grip around things that were never ours to command. We wake already braced against reality, against outcomes, against people, against the past, and then we wonder why our chest feels heavy before the sun has fully risen. We tell ourselves we are strong because we endure, but endurance without wisdom becomes self-inflicted torment. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Yet we do the opposite. We try to master events and neglect the only dominion that was ever promised to us. We cling to arguments long after they are over. We replay betrayals as if repetition might rewrite them. We demand closure from those who cannot even offer honesty. Our suffering is not born from circumstance. It is born from attachment, from insisting that reality conform to our preferences. And so this is our wake-up call, not to become cold, not to become passive, but to become sovereign, to release what does not belong in our hands and reclaim what always has. We will walk through this together, not as spectators of philosophy, but as practitioners of it. Each morning we choose whether we will be dragged by life or stand upright within it, and that choice begins with letting go. 1. Release the illusion of control. Every morning, before the world speaks, we must remind ourselves of a simple division. There are things within our command, our judgments, our intentions, our actions, and there are things forever beyond it. Other people's thoughts, the weather of the world, the outcomes of our labor. Epictetus began his teachings with this distinction, not as theory, but as survival. Some things are up to us and some things are not. We suffer when we blur the line. We cling to control because it feels like safety. If we can predict it, manage it, orchestrate it, then perhaps we can prevent pain. But this is a contract reality never signed. The more tightly we grip, the more fragile we become. A plan disrupted feels like betrayal. A person who disappoints us feels like injustice. In truth, they are only being what they are. When we wake, we must rehearse loss, not morbidly, not fearfully, but honestly. The meeting may fail, the relationship may change, the effort may not be rewarded. Seneca warned that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. By accepting the possibility of disruption before it arrives, we disarm its sting. To let go of control is not to withdraw effort. It is to focus effort where it belongs. We prepare thoroughly. We act with excellence. And then we release the result. We do not bargain with fate. We do not beg for outcomes. We do our part, and that is enough. This is strength, not the frantic need to dominate circumstances, but the quiet confidence of someone who knows their responsibility ends at their own character. Everything beyond that is weather, and we do not rage at the sky. 2. Release the need for validation. There is a hunger that masquerades as ambition, a craving to be seen, affirmed, approved. We check for reactions. We measure ourselves against applause. We mistake attention for worth. And when recognition does not come, we feel invisible, as though our existence requires endorsement. But consider this: if our peace depends on external praise, then it is no longer ours. It is rented, and the landlord may withdraw it at any time. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "The opinion of 10,000 men is of no value if none of them know anything about the subject. Why then do we tremble before the judgment of strangers?" Each morning we must anchor our worth in our conduct. Did we act justly? Did we speak truthfully? Did we restrain anger when it tempted us? This is the only audit that matters. The world may misunderstand us, it may even mock us, but virtue does not require applause to remain intact. When we release the need to be validated, we become dangerous in the best sense. We are no longer manipulated by flattery. We are no longer paralyzed by criticism. We become steady, and steadiness commands more respect than performance ever could. Let us act not for approval, but for alignment, with reason, with conscience, with our highest principles. Then whether the crowd cheers or jeers, Our inner state remains unshaken. That is freedom. 3. Release resentment toward the past. We carry the past like a courtroom transcript, every slight recorded, every injustice cataloged. We replay it, polish it, strengthen our case. And yet no verdict changes what has already occurred. The past is immovable. Only our relationship to it remains fluid. Resentment feels powerful. It convinces us that by holding on to anger, we preserve our dignity. But in truth, we chain ourselves to the very thing we claim to despise. As the modern scholar Ryan Holiday writes, "The obstacle is the way." The pain itself can become our training, if we allow it. Each morning we must practice reinterpretation, not denial, not forced optimism, but perspective. What did this loss teach us? What weakness did it reveal? What strength did it forge? The betrayal that sharpened our discernment, the failure that humbled our ego, the rejection that redirected our path. Marcus Aurelius advised himself to meet wrongdoers with understanding, recognizing that ignorance drives most harm. This does not excuse behavior, but it frees us from bitterness. We are no longer reacting, we are observing. To let go of resentment is to reclaim energy. The mind once occupied by anger becomes available for growth. We step forward lighter, and in doing so, we deny the past, the power to define us. 4. Release fear of uncertainty. Uncertainty terrifies us because it exposes our vulnerability. We want guarantees, security, a map of what is coming. But life does not operate by guarantees. It unfolds. Fear of the unknown often reveals a deeper attachment to comfort, to familiarity, to predictability. Yet history shows that our greatest growth has emerged from instability. The job loss that forced reinvention, the move that expanded perspective, the crisis that awakened discipline. Each morning we must confront this truth. Uncertainty is not the enemy. It is the arena. Seneca wrote that fire tests gold and adversity tests the brave. Without unpredictability, courage would have no stage. When we release the need for certainty, we sharpen adaptability. We become fluid instead of brittle. We stop demanding that life explain itself before we agree to live it. The future will arrive regardless of our fear. Let us meet it prepared in character, rather than protected by illusion. That is resilience. 5. Release the ego's narrative. Perhaps the hardest thing to let go of is the story we tell about ourselves, the identity we defend, the image we curate, the belief that we are always right, always justified, always misunderstood. The ego whispers that surrender is weakness, that admitting fault diminishes us, but the opposite is true. It is rigidity that breaks, humility bends, and survives. Each morning we must question our own interpretations. Was that insult intentional or merely careless? Was that failure catastrophic or instructive? Epictetus taught that it is not events that disturb us, but our judgments about them. Change the judgment and the disturbance dissolves. When we release the ego's grip, we become teachable. We grow faster. We apologize sooner. We correct ourselves without collapse. There is immense power in being less concerned with appearing strong and more concerned with becoming strong. Let us not be enslaved by pride. Let us be disciplined by truth. The world does not require our perfection. It demands our progress. We suffer because we refuse to loosen our grip on control, on validation, on resentment, on certainty, on ego. But none of these were meant to be clutched. They were meant to be examined and released. And when we finally let go, something remarkable happens. We do not become empty. We become grounded. We discover that beneath all the attachments was a steady core that did not need them. Each morning is an opportunity to practice this release. Not once, not dramatically, but deliberately. We wake. We breathe. We remember what is ours and what is not. And then we step into the day lighter, stronger, unburdened. The world will still test us. It always does. but we will no longer break under its weight because we are no longer carrying what was never ours to hold.